What is going on, everybody? It's time for our weekly top six countdown, the ICWP six pack. I'm excited because it's the end of May, unfortunately. But it's the end of May, which means we got a little top six wrestlers of May 2016. And, I got a chance to watch some Lucha Underground. So at least I got a chance to, expand a little bit because I haven't watched anything. Like, that's it. It's been WWE, TNA, Lucha Underground. I had, like, like before, like, 3 days ago, I had watched WWE and TNA, and that was it. It was over. Um, but we got the top six of May 2016. So let's just start with number six. My number six is gonna be. I'm gonna go with Pentagon Jr. from Lucha Underground. Of course, I started with the Lucha Underground one. Considering I did just watch it recently, still trying to catch up on like the third episode of season two, so I'm not too far into it yet. But from what I saw this week, Pentagon Jr. was kind of just starting his feud with Prince Puma, and he had just broken the arm of Mil Muertes, the Spanish words that I can't say. Mil Mil Muertes, Mil Muertes. Anyway, he the champ at that time. I know he's not champ anymore, but the champ at that time, he had broken the arm of him. I don't think he's the champ anymore, if I can remember, but still, he's on a hot run, and I feel like ever since the Vampiro match, he's been really, really, really going good, and I like what he's doing. Number six, Casey.
All right, number six. I really have only been able to watch like WWE and TNA. I haven't been watching too much Ring of Honor because it hasn't been on for some reason. I don't know why. And I would put New Japan, but the broadcast that we get in the States is always like from like
6 months later or something. Isn't it like 6 months later or something?
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to say. I could technically say so and so was the best for May, but again, it was 6 months ago. But anyway, for my number six, I'm gonna go with Matt Hardy. This new Matt Hardy is really impressing me. We haven't. I mean, we saw like Matt Hardy version 1. We saw a couple different character changes from Matt Hardy, but we haven't really seen anything this kind of extensive in a character change with Matt Hardy. And I think he's doing it really well. We haven't really seen much of him in ring since his match with Jeff, where he kind of this all happened. But I like where they're going with it. It's making it more intriguing. Whereas before, Jeff came back and we were like, oh, great. Matt Hardy's push is gone now because Jeff's back, but they're keeping his push, and it's going well. So that's my number six.
Yeah, I'm definitely liking the push they're going with Matt Hardy, changing his character again, and he's just kind of going with it. I'm like, all right, number five. People are gonna get mad at me for this one, but it is my list. Number five is Roman Reigns to me. It's Roman Reigns because during this month it seems like at least we've gotten a little more clarification of who he wants to be as a singles guy. Not too much, but at least a little bit, and that's always helpful. And I think he's put on good matches this month. I've liked him personally. I like the whole family versus the club thing. I like it a lot. I'm a fan. I thought about NXT guys for some of these spots, but NXT ain't done a dang on thing since Takeover, so they don't deserve anything of what I'm gonna give them for this month. I mean, they haven't really done much for me in this month, personally with NXT. But I'm gonna, people are gonna get mad at me. I'm probably gonna get some hate comments, but forget it. I'm going with the guy. Oh, Casey, number five.
Yeah, see, speaking of NXT, I thought about putting some of the divas on there, or the women from NXT, but even the ones that have done really well, like I feel like Alexa Bliss has done really well. I feel like Carmella has done really well, but they've really only had like 1 or 2 matches this month. So I was like, can we really put them on this list? But anyway, my number 5 is going to be Mike Bennett. I know me and DJ have both loved Mike Bennett since he, came to TNA. I liked him still before, in Ring of Honor, but I feel like he's come out of kind of his shell, I guess. He's developed more of his character, not being in the kingdom, not, being, with other people, well, except for Maria, but he's kind of, stepped down on his own and he's done really, really well. I love the character they're doing with him. I love the feuds he's been in. Yeah, I could definitely see him being the champion eventually.
Alrighty, we are moving right along, and I will get to it when we get to number one because I just thought of another idea that I'm probably going to forget by that time.
Yeah,
So just remind me to not forget about my idea. All right, number four, I'm gonna go with the Destroyer Lashley because I'm a big fan of Lashley. I always have been, at least since he's been in TNA. And I think they really and he kind of goes hand in hand with my number three. But I think they've really done a good job of rebuilding him back to what he was. Because when he was champion, he was ridiculously dominant, which I liked a lot. And now he's ridiculously dominant, and I just love seeing him spear people. Oh, it's amazing. I wish he would spear Casey at least 5 times, and we could put it on the channel. We could put it on Twitter, and then he could spear Michael Tarver too. Because anyway, I sent Michael Tarver some haterade. I sent it his way, and he responded. So I was like, okay, Mike, you don't want this, bro. But but yeah,
if this man agrees to be on the podcast, you're gonna have to deal with that. You're gonna have to deal with that.
I know, right? I'm gonna have to freaking But our number four, Lashley. All right, number four for you, Casey.
Number four for me is the phenomenal AJ Styles. I think he's going to be like on every list every month at some point. Like whether it's number 1 or number 6 or number 5 and number 3, he's going to be on every list because he's just that good. That is a good point. He is phenomenal. It was a tie with him and Michael Tarver because how can you have a list without Michael Tarver? I mean, I'm just saying. Did you watch Money in the Bank 2010? Did you watch that man? That man be coming out with the bolt cutters, and he's like,
I mean, technically, I guess Michael Tarver could be on this list if you watched him. He still wrestles, so he could be on this list. I think he's a rapper now, actually, too. I think he put out like a mixtape or something. So he could be on a couple of lists, But right now I haven't watched him, so he's not on my list.
You ain't even be watching him, and you want to have him on the show. And what's wrong with you? You just want to hate on him. I see what it is. I love the man. I think he was phenomenal. I think he was. He was let go too early, man. He could have been WWE champion.
Alrighty, so number three is Rusev, my boy, the new United States champion. I'm excited about it. I fell in love with him on the match against Jack Swagger, and I think it might have been like Payback or something last year or something. No, it wasn't Payback. It was like before that. But I really was a big fan of him, and I'm still a big fan of him. And I'm glad he's getting back to that beast that I like. That beast that they had him as before. And I think Rusev's doing good, especially without the League of Nations. It seems like everybody else is doing good. Being out of the League of Nations now. I feel like Del Rio is doing a lot better to me. Sheamus he's there. They ain't really done much with him. Whereas Alberto Del Rio got a title shot and whatnot, and I was like, okay, But all right, number 3, Casey.
Number 3 is my boy Big Cass. Especially this past month, Enzo had his injury, so Enzo was out, and you would think sometimes when you have a tag team and one of the tag team partners gets an injury, it kind of it drags them down a little bit, and the other partner suffers. But I feel like Cass really carried it. You know, he was there every week. He still, you know, put on really good promos. I think we actually got to hear more of him in promos than we would, you know, usually it's Enzo, but I feel like we got to hear more of his personality, get to kind of see a little bit more of him, which was cool. You know, obviously, you know, Enzo's back, which is good. We get Enzo and Cass, hopefully eventually as tag team champions, because it feels like WWE is really trying to push them. But I definitely was impressed with him when Enzo was out, and he still kind of carried it, and, you know, still had matches and stuff like that.
Alrighty. I definitely agree. I like Big Cass. I think a lot of people, you know, talked about how he's not that good on the mic or whatever, and I was like, well, he's still in his tag team gimmick. He's got to say the soft thing, so he's got to keep it around that to a certain degree. So like, you can't really branch out too much in like the tag team gimmick that you're in my personal opinion. But number two, getting almost to the top already. Number two from TNA, I'm gonna go with Drew Galloway. I think really what made him stand out even more to me was watching Money in the Bank 2010 and how young he looked, and how like now I don't know, and I guess he has to be like in better shape now, but he looks like a beast right now. Justin, quit calling me. He looks like a beast right now. He looks absolutely monstrous. Um, I feel like almost monstrous BC esque. If you guys catch that Twitter handle, let me know. But you know, he looks, you know, quite monstrous, and I like it. I like Drew Galloway. I want to see, you know, more matches from him, but I think in the matches he's been in, they've been really good. Number two, Drew Galloway. Casey, number two.
Number two is from the land of NXT, originally from the land of the rising sun. See what I did there? Because Japan is the Shinsuke Nakamura. Obviously, we haven't really seen much of him, it feels like, in May, just because he is on NXT, and NXT tries to get different guys on the show every week. So you're not going to get the same guys every week. But I feel like he's one of those guys where he could have one match in a month and he'd still probably be like number one or number two on the list, just because he's that good. He puts on that good of matches, and he's, you know, that charismatic that, you know, he's automatically one of the best on their roster, even though, you know, the NXT roster is kind of struggling right now. They're still in that rebuilding process after a bunch of guys went up to the main roster. But, I mean, he's still number two on my list.
Alrighty. Number one. So I came up with an idea. Let's see how it works. I want Casey and I to try to agree on number one, because number one is it's a very important spot when you think about top wrestler of May. You know, the number one, the top guy, the guy, wrestler, you know, the guy of May, I guess you could say. And I'll give my number one. Casey, you give, if you have a number one, give your number one. And we can either choose one of those guys, or we can choose from our entire list. Just go with that. All right. Let's see. My number one is Seth Rollins. Now, Seth Rollins hasn't wrestled a match yet. You know, he hasn't done much, but his return like broke the doggone internet. Broke it. Yes.
My number one was Seth Rollins.
I guess we agree on a number one already. My number one is Seth Rollins because he didn't wrestle much, but his return alone was good enough to get him the top wrestler. You know, I don't know. I don't know how to put it, but he's the top guy of May, because like his return was to me shocking because I wasn't expecting it. I didn't look on dirt sheets. I was barely on Twitter before the pay-per-view, so I didn't even see anything about it. And then, Justin's reaction was enough to make him number one. And then the whole thing with him returning, him just not giving two craps about the fans when he came back, which was really smart. A lot of people hated it. A lot of people were mad at it, but I thought it was really smart because it's truthful. Did the fans really? Were the fans really on his side when he won the title? No. Did they really? Were they on his side when he turned on the Shield? No. Were they on his side during his run? No. Were they on his side after his run? Not really, until he was gone and we had no choice but to be on his side. So why Seth Rollins? I guess Seth Rollins is our unanimous number one. Why Seth Rollins, Casey? Why?
Well, first of all, he did basically break the internet when he came back. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't see anything before the pay-per-view. There was rumors that he might come back early, but they were pretty sure he wasn't going to, just because his knee injury was so bad. He tore his MCL and ACL. A lot of guys in other sports would never come back from that. And on top of that, not only did he come back early, he basically pulled a John Cena better than John Cena. He was supposed to come back in the earliest was 9 months, I think they said. Man comes back in
it's always a 6 to 9 month thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know they were saying it was going to be closer to 9. The man came back in 6, and he was like, hey, John Cena, what now, boy? No, but and I definitely agree. I think it's smart that he's kind of still doing the heel thing. It is a little bit confusing, though, because first of all, we have the AJ Styles Roman Reigns thing where we're like, okay, who's the face, who's the heel? So now you're going to throw Seth Rollins in there, and we're really not going to know who's supposed to be the face and who's supposed to be the heel. I think eventually they will switch him. Well, I mean, and then it makes it confusing too, because I was pretty sure when they had the Authority, they were going to bring him back and eventually change him face and have him go against the Authority. But now the Authority's not there, so it's like, what are we going to do with him now? I would love to see him have a face run, but he's doing really well with the heel run. But again, I mean, they got to figure out what they're going to do with Roman Reigns and AJ Styles, because obviously we're going to have a Seth Rollins Roman Reigns feud eventually. But so yeah, Seth Rollins is my number one.
Well, that was a lot easier than I ever expected that to be. So next week we'll have another 6-pack. It has officially moved to Mondays to account for TNA being on Tuesdays. So we're gonna keep it on Mondays, kind of keep the fluidity going. The flow. You gotta get that tongue in there. The flow. But if you guys haven't already, be sure to follow us on Twitter at ICW_podcast. Talk to Michael Tarver. Tell him we need him on the show. We need him on the show so I can tell him things about himself. And check out his rap album.
I can tell him that he was really good, and that I hope he comes back one day, because I need me some Michael Tarver in the WWE.
You only need Michael Tarver in the WWE because I hate him. That's the only reason. It's the only reason you like him. But anyway, he still wears the mask, by the way, so Casey would approve. He still wears it in his indie shows and whatnot. But we hope you guys enjoyed. I think we're doing NFL NBA Finals predictions, but we said we were going to do playoff predictions, and we the playoffs over. so we'll figure it out and we'll let you guys know. Follow us on Twitter. He's a Supercar team. We got you, ICWP. But have good cards. Don't suck, please.
Yeah, don't have shitty cards or you're kicked out.
Yeah. But we hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe. Follow us on all the things that you follow us on, and we'll see you guys later.